Wheel bearings on the Honda CB750. Whilst I'm waiting for a tool to remove the locking cap, I've got the knackety wheel bearings. Some of that is in, and I've cleaned these up. So to me, this is the offside wheel bearing, which you can see has been chewing away at the spindle, and the near side, where the near side bearing would sit, it's lovely and clean because it has spewed out all of its lubricant, all of its grease. Anyway, whilst that job is waiting for a tool, I thought I'd take a look at the brake system, because something that the front brake has been doing is, as I've been using it, it's binding more and more. So a quick look inside the front brake master cylinder reservoir is a lot of debris and detritus. So although it's using braided hoses, inside the lines are breaking down, and also this master cylinder hasn't been rebuilt in a long time. I looked at rebuild kits. They're pretty much as expensive as a replacement master cylinder. So I thought what I'd do for the moment is just clean it up and run it for a few miles and see what actually happens. So that's pretty grim, to be fair. Let's get that cleaned up anyway. I'm just going to use a syringe with a hose on it. Rim. So what sort of colour we got there? Not the worst I've ever seen. Okay, let's get some kitchen paper in there and see if we can soak up some of the rubber particles. Oh yeah, that ain't looking good. But then we knew this. We've stuck our heads in there. We've seen what we've got to deal with. And we're going to make a difference, right? What you're going to see me doing now is you're going to see me pushing on the piston of the caliper, and that's going to pop fluid up through and back into this reservoir, and hopefully it'll bring some of the dirt and detritus with it. So all I'm doing with the caliper is I'm putting my fingers on the piston side of the brake pad, and I'm just pushing the piston back in to position. Okay, I'm pushing on the piston now. Somebody get excited. There we go, so the pad's looking real nice. And so is the piston. It's looking lovely and clean. Looks really nice. All we've got is some paint coming off. There is supposed to be an inner pad here, which I'm just not showing you, which sits there. So you can see it's got use, but again incredibly tidy and not worth anything more than a service clean rather than a rebuild. Well, that was interesting. To refill it, I'm using Brembo fluid. I've now bled the system and everything's looking pretty cool. Some of the things I just checked was the condition of the diaphragm. It's absolutely spot on. And the condition of the cap is fine, it's not so bad. 40 odd years old. I'm surprised it's still got its nylon insert inside of it, but there you go. I gave thought to replacing the master cylinder in its entirety, but it looks like I will revisit this in a few months' time as I see use on the motorcycle. Another job I have for the CB750 is a new clutch cable. Although the clutch cable's functioning fine, it was actually damaged, and you can see here that the outer cable is damaged and was resting against the cooling fins on the front of the engine. So they burnt through, and I'm not sure whether it's lubrication from the top or lubrication from here that's been able to work its way up and cause an oil leak in this area, which I've traced to the clutch cable. So I shall release it from its cable tied hell. I'm going to release the lock, and then I'm going to wind everything in. I'm not going to make it, am I? Don't think I can do one more rotation. Nope, I'm going to have to release it from below. To give myself a little bit more cable, adjustment is down here. These screw heads are JIS, they are not Phillips. So don't be going attacking them with a Phillips screwdriver. Also, they should just undo by hand. And I've got one behind the kickstart. Rather than remove the kickstart, I'm probably going to just hold that and then undo it. There's one. I do love these old motorcycles. They are an education. Every day is a learning day with these. I like to keep everything in order of appearance. Let's see if I can get a spanner on there and wind this in, and I can get the cable off of the front handlebar. What's very typical is the locking nut not wanting to undo, given the age of the motorcycle. So I'm going to give it a little toot of Bulldog BDX. No, I'm not paid to recommend this product, it's just really good. And that's really all I need. I'm using stumpy spanners. If you have a problem, use longer spanners. You'll get a better perch. Okay, I'm just using stumpy ones because my hands are strong. What I want to do is wind this nut as far right as possible onto the adjuster. And I'll just wind that in. And as I do, we'll get ourselves a nice bit of slack going on here. My hands now. That's loosened off pretty well. I've got some slack here. It should give me some extra slack up there. Let's go and have a look. Here I am up top. Let's see if pulling on this gives me the yes. Okay, so I can't do anything other than employ the assistance of a screwdriver in order to help line everything up. Let's see if I can pull the clutch cable out now. Yes, success. And then release it from underneath. It should be as easy as dropping a little debris down. There we go. You want to watch for routing, how the cable feeds through the motorcycle. So in my world, I'm just looking at where the routing is. I can follow it down. So I've got a good idea of where the cable goes. And now I need to have enough slack in order to remove this. All I'm doing is removing it from its little holder by using pliers to pull on the cable. And then get this cable out of here. Cool. Threading the new cable in, rather than trying to come down and in, I'm going from the front. Just trying to be a little kind on myself. Get it into position. Beautiful. And then in order to take up any slack, I'll actually pull on the clutch lever side of it. And as you can see there, it's just taking up the slack nicely. Working on the premise that you learn something new every day. I noticed this little buffer on the cable itself, and I'm going to use that buffer to keep the cable away from anything sharp and just let the cable follow its way up, tracking where the old cable went. And we're not in contact with exhausts. Very good, very good. I'm happy with that. So I have the cable passing up past the choke. I'm just going to get ready to install it. Make sure you don't lose that little cover on the pin. Two hands are better than one, Alex. There we go. So I'm just going to adjust it out slightly. I'm really not worried about adjustment here just yet. So that's looking already fairly close to how it used to be. Not bad. So now I'm going to wind the adjuster out just slightly, then take the locking nut, let's take it out a little more, that'll do fine. Then I'm going to lock these together, just going to hold the larger nut and then tighten the locker up against it. So now I'm fairly happy that that looks really quite similar to how things used to be. There isn't too much slack. I'll now adjust for slack on this side. This is the locker, and I'm using that just to help me rotate the adjuster because it's a bit easier. I'm happy with the adjustment here. You can see I've got a little bit of slack, which seems acceptable. And now I'm just going to cable tie the clutch cable into position. Time to put the cover back on. I'm a big believer in putting the screws back where they came from. If I look a little bit slow with my left hand, I look like I'm struggling. It's because I've had my left hand rebuilt and it's not the hand it used to be. It's actually a Honda that cost me my hand. So I do struggle with temperature and feel after having my hand rebuilt. Once I get my right hand involved, everything goes really quickly. I would actually, if I tried to tighten this up with my left hand, it would actually hurt a lot. So that's why I'm using my right. Then you need nipping up. That's the kickstand back into place, covers on. Lovely. That's looking good, looking good. This is the old cable. You can see over the years it's not fared too well, and it's been literally burnt through whilst resting on the exhausts. Corrosion's gotten to it, and there's also damage further up. So not a bad day's work. There's the brake system bled at the front, new clutch cable installed. I think it's time for a cup of tea. Thanks for watching. So I have the brake disc off. And the bolts aren't looking too pretty, huh? So they're going to get cleaned up. Speedo drive, just need to clean. Still need to take some Scotch-Brite to the spindle. And I don't care what anybody says about all balls racing, because you'll hear a lot of different comments out there. Are they really cheap? Well, let's see, huh? I mean, that there's worth 12 quid if I go and order it. And then it comes with the dust shields. Do you know? Not bad. But that little piece there, all of the Honda people will have me for 12 quid. And it's included in the kit. And yeah, so my plan at the moment is to clean the hub up this evening. I'm actually waiting for a tool. So I've had to drill here and here. And that's called peening, where the Honda people who are building the motorcycle hit it both sides. So this is a bearing locking cap. And I can't undo it because, one, I don't have the right tool. I have hit it there. And then I've had to drill out the 2 pins that they've put in it to stop it coming out. Just for fun. You can see how manky the hub is. So I'm just using a little bit of paraffin that I put into a garden squirter. The bearings are coming out anyway, so I'm not really bothered if I splash them. And what paraffin's really good at is acting as a degreaser and a cleaner. And you don't have to go crazy. It will evaporate and leave a protective surface behind. I'm sure there's some amazing sales pitch out there, but just to give you a brief example of what paraffin's capable of with an old toothbrush. Amazing, isn't it? It just cleans everything right up. So that's my top tip. And you're only getting that top tip because you've got to the end of the video, and I thank you for watching. But that's the joys of a old toothbrush. So when I finished with toothbrushes at home, they end up coming to the workshop and then they do these sort of jobs here, so they get to live. And I seem to have quite a collection because I remember this toothbrush is from a long time ago. But it refuses to die, which is brilliant. So there you go. Top tip on cleaning your hubs. Jot of paraffin, an old toothbrush, a little bit of elbow grease. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys and girls, and see you in the next video. Cup of tea time.